Hello, good afternoon to each and everyone, to all my viewers out there, parents, teachers, students. Hello, and I'd like to welcome you to another of my videos. So this is different from my usual videos, which is video tutorials, no? What I will be doing right now would be more on a video for information's sake, alright? So before I go on with this video information, I'd like to invite everyone to please click on the subscribe button on my YouTube channel, Teacher Michelle. As well as I have also a Facebook page under the same name, Teacher Michelle. Please do like, follow, and share. Alright? So what will I be talking about for this afternoon? I will be giving an explanation on the different modalities in teaching for school year 2020 to 2021. No, for sure there are a lot of parents out there who are probably thinking, hello, what would I be expecting for my child for this school year, with the pandemic going on and all. So here are your answers, okay? Right? So, to my dear friends, dear parents, teachers, students, are you ready? Alright, I think everyone is so ready to listen already, no? So, just sit tight, relax, and listen carefully. Hello, good morning once again. This is Teacher Michelle giving you a short information on how or what we would possibly be expecting for the new normal in opening our school year 2020-2021. Okay, so shall I start? Alright, what would you choose? Okay, as the parents, as my parents viewers, what possible teaching methods or modalities would you possibly choose? Right? So here are a few options, right? We have our face-to-face option of teaching modality. We have homeschool or study. We have distance learning. And we also have blended learning. So it is actually always up to you. No? That is precisely why we are setting out a lot of survey forms to check on which among the 4 modalities that DepEd has offered that parents would want to choose, right? Whether would you choose the face-to-face, would you choose the homeschool study, or would you choose distance learning, or in other means, blended learning, right? So let's try to understand one by one the 4 modalities of teaching, right? So let's start with face-to-face, where limited number of learners go to school, right? Let's try to understand more on what is expected in a face-to-face situation for your children, in learning. You would be expected, or rather parents would be expecting a scheduled only scheme. What do you mean by scheduled only, right? So it wouldn't mean that all the students or pupils in that particular institution would necessarily go there at once. No, you might be scheduled at a certain time. Say for example, Mondays, these are the number of pupils or grade levels that would come and visit the school to have the face-to-face classes, right? So basically that's the main idea of it. Though I am not saying yet that there is a final schedule to it, but basically I'm just giving you the idea, of how a face-to-face learning experience would happen. Alright, let's move on to the next expectation. In a face-to-face classroom, we would be expecting at least 15 to 20 pupils or possibly less. This is actually a case-to-case basis, but the standard number of pupils that our our DepEd Administrative Office has mentioned is 15 to 20 pupils. Alright? So at least you would be expecting it won't be as jam-packed as what we usually have experienced in the past before this pandemic has come to range. Alright? Next expectation would be there are shorter hours of face-to-face communication between student and teachers. So if before we are so used to the morning until afternoon setup, there would probably be shorter hours. There would be a scheduled certain arrangements that would not need anymore for the students to comply to the whole day classes. And of course, this would not entail for the student to come to school every day. It might be once a week or twice a week, depending on basically it would really depend on the grade level possibly and the arrangements with the school. And of course, rest assured that if there would be a face-to-face setup, distance learning is always expected. Precisely why our DepEd admin office has specified to have only 15 to 20 pupils in the classroom, as to not jam-pack and still be able to observe the social distancing even inside the classroom, right? So probably at this point, if ever you parents out there viewing would possibly choose this type of setup, it is very much encouraged to possibly prepare the necessary PPE for our students, such as the gloves, the masks, and possibly a face shield. As much as precautionary measures is necessary for this, since the pandemic is still going around in our country, and we have to make it 100% sure that we are secured from the said pandemic. Alright, so let's try to move on to the next teaching modality, which is homeschool or study. This provides learners with equal access to quality basic education at home to be facilitated by, take note, okay? To be facilitated by qualified parents, guardians, or tutors. Alright? So, now this would be expected. This is what would also be expected, if some of you parents out there are more apprehensive of having the student come to school, that's no worries. We have another option, which is homeschool or study. Now, what is to be expected for homeschool and study? We will be expecting a learn at home process. Alright? So basically, the teacher would possibly be sending via email or in any means possibly. It will be between the communication of parents and teachers as to how to send the modules or the teaching materials for the students to learn at home. Alright? So, what was mentioned here was it should be facilitated by qualified parents. Alright? It should be facilitated by qualified parents. Once we say qualified, my dear parents, well, basically it's for you to determine if you feel, or have you been always have you been always practicing this ever since before, that you have made a follow-up teaching every time the student comes home. Alright? So if you have had that repertoire before this pandemic ever happened, then yes, you are qualified. So, and if you also would want to volunteer yourself and you feel that you can really assist the child with the learning procedure, then that would also mean for you to get qualified. Alright? as well as guardians, no, parents and guardians alike, right? Or in some cases, I assume that some parents as well have hired tutors previously. No, you might possibly still have in, or you might possibly still in touch with these tutors that you might possibly want to have them assist your child with a homeschool study. Now, possibly at this time you would say, hey teacher, I'm not a teacher by profession or anything else. No, good na lang for parents who are teachers by profession. Yes, you are very qualified. But I know some of you are more, some of you parents are more possibly apprehensive, or you might have fears, no? That, hey, I'm not a teacher. How can I help my child? Could I possibly guide him through it? Of course. Yes, my dear parents, for you, dear parents, are the first ever teachers of the child. So therefore, you can really do it. And do not worry, about the technicalities of it, of the learning process. For we will not just simply give you the learning materials and leave you to it. No, do not worry, for we will always be constantly communicating with you, asking you whether the suggestions that we have asked you to do for the learning process, have it been effective? What were your struggles? So we can always help each other. We are always in contact. At the same time, if you have hardships, along the way, you can also contact us. So it's really vice versa. All right. So we will not leave you alone. Alright, so I hope everyone is clear of the home study or homeschooling modality of teaching. Our next modality is distance learning. Alright? So what is expected for distance learning? So this is delivered through different modes. Okay? It may be letter A, online platforms. Letter B, educational programs on TV and radio. Or letter C, printed modules, or it can be all three, for distance learning. All right, let's try to understand better what are online platforms. Basically, these are e-learning platforms, my dear parents. They are basically focused more on the programs. There might be some educational programs that we might want you to download, perhaps, or perhaps access through the internet for you to be able to assist your child in learning. All right. One possible online platform that you might have been exposed already now would be the DepEd Commons. All right. If you remember, previously, like I assume that was like a month ago, that we posted announcements that you can basically have your child access the DepEd Commons and have them refresh or possibly learn new things and get prepared for the new incoming school year. So that is one example of our online platforms. Another means mentioned here is educational programs on TV. There might be some there might be some educational modules, educational videos that we might be plugging in some TV cables that your child may be able to view on it. Just like for the 90s kids, I'm a 90s kids myself. If you recall the Cine Escuela, so possibly it might be similar to that. Right? Next is another means would be radio broadcast. Still the same with TV programs. The difference is just that visual and audio. Visual and audio would be the means of learning with TV programs. As for radio broadcast, it would be just basically audio. We would again still be possibly plugging in. DepEd might still be plugging in some educational learning materials or audio learning materials that would possibly be plugged in or broadcasted in some radio stations where your child can possibly listen to, and still continue learning. Or another means of distance learning would be a modular type of distance learning, which is we would be sending you printed out modules. So for parents, for those who do not still or have not grasped the idea of what a modular system or module is, modular system basically is it's a long-term learning. So say for example that your teacher has set a weekly modular system or modular learning. So we would be printing out good for 1 week learning materials for your child to learn, and then from there we'll try to communicate again and try to see whether the 1 week learning materials were covered or were learned and grasped properly, if there were comprehension in that. Alright, for our last type of modality and teaching would be blended. So I assume that from the word blended, meaning it's mixed all together as one. So this allows for the combination of face-to-face, online, and modular learning delivery. Alright? So we would be expecting all or everything at once. Alright? So at first, we had our face-to-face, right? Possibly we would have an agreement that there would be once or twice a week for your child to come to school and have the face-to-face. And then continue the learning at home for homeschooling, and then distance learning, with all the distance learning materials like the DepEd Commons. Still continue to listen to radios and TVs for the learning materials, and of course the modular type of teaching. Alright, so basically, my dear parents, these are, so let me just return back to the main menu. Alright, so these are basically the 4 modalities that we will be facing, or we will be possibly be experiencing for the school year 2020-2021. Okay, so I hope I have eased your fears. I hope I have eased your, or rather answered your unanswered questions, as to how this is going to go about for school year 2020-21. So thank you for listening, and I hope I have truly given enlightenment to everyone. Once again, this is Teacher Michelle and signing off. Thank you.